you curious about alternate universes? Like, how does that work? Especially if you believe in God and are a Christian, how does that work into Christianity? Does it make sense? Does it line up with the Bible? I'm curious about it. This is my theory. So we have free will. So God knows all of the possibilities that we would ever make. So does that mean that all of the possibilities that we would ever make are somewhere playing out in the universe, in the multiverse? So God is sovereign over everything. So even with every decision that we would ever make, He knows what decision we would make. How does He know every single decision that we would ever make? Maybe because it's stored somewhere in these alternate universes. Now, this is not to make you feel FOMO, like, oh, there's another me living out its best life. No, this is to make the most of this universe that we're in, because this is the most tangible one that we're living in. There's the one that we can think of is like imaginary, it's not as tangible as this one. I feel like what ifs live in here, but the real deal is right now. God wants us to make the correct choices so we can live in the universe that we're currently living in, for it to be the one that's in alignment with Him, so that this one that you're living in walks into the narrow road that leads to life, not all of the other universes that you'd be walking in the wide gate that leads to sin, death, and destruction. And no matter if you took a detour to these alternate universes where things got really screwed up, if you come back into alignment with God and start praying, reading the Bible, and start doing the things that God has called you to do, then you come back into alignment with your higher self, where God wants you in the will of God, walking where He created you to be, remaining in the branch and walking alongside Him. You may be thinking, if God wants us to prosper and give us a hope and a future, why are we not prospering at times? And it's because you need to be a go-getter too, and need to be put to action what you know that God wants you to do, and not just sit around and wait for God to do it for you. He wants to work through you to carry out His will. Constantly living in regret of what could have been and what other possibilities would have happened if you would have done this, if you would have stayed together with your baby daddy, or like just things like that keep you in a cycle of bad thinking and keep you in a cycle of just resentment. That will put you in an alternate universe where when you're limiting yourself of being fully who you're supposed to be. You have to let go of all these alternate universes and come in to the universe that you're living in currently. Because if you're constantly thinking of what could have been, then you're living in this illusion of like a cycle of like, what if, and then you're not living the current reality. So it sets you back and limits you of being like in alignment with God and to your fullest capability. Because it's hard to like do stuff when you're constantly thinking of like, oh, I could have been this, I would have been that, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, I don't know for sure if there's multiple universes or a multiverse, but this just what piques my curiosity, so take it with a grain of salt. But it would explain why there's glitches in the Matrix, which I've also had, like, glitches in the Matrix. So I take it as that God is just giving me a wink that, look, see how fragile we are, and that He made us like a computer programmer makes a matrix. That's why it seems like we're in a matrix. Like, things just happen right on time. You keep bumping into that same person at the supermarket. Like, these are things that God is orchestrating, like boop, 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 boop. And it's just showing us that nothing is as it seems. Nothing has to be like permanently the way it is just because science or gravity says so. In the word it says, if you tell a mountain to move and you have enough faith, then the mountain will move, because that's how reality is for Him. He just speaks it into existence and made this whole universe and planets and everything. He's like showing us with the glitches in the Matrix that nothing has to make sense for him to do it. He can just do literally anything he wants. That's why I feel that God speaks to us through numbers, through coincidences, because he is orchestrating for you to see those repeating numbers.